Welcome back to SHOT TV at SHOT Show 2024. My name is Chris Lee, and I am the Midwest State Government Affairs Director for NSSF, the Firearm Industry Trade Association. And I am here with the great Indiana Treasurer, Daniel Elliott. And we're actually in a booth of a great Indiana company, FOSTEC. Daniel Elliott, thank you for being here at SHOT Show. You've been a great supporter of our industry and Second Amendment rights of Hoosiers since you came into office last year, and we appreciate it. And you're working on a bill this year to try to allow more people to exercise their constitutional rights in the Indiana State House. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So there's a bill called Senate Bill 14 that would allow me and my staff to be able to carry at the State House. It was really odd for me as someone who's been a long time gun enthusiast, somebody who's carried concealed carry for many, many years, that once I got elected, I came to the State House and I was unable to carry in the State House. Everywhere else in the state of Indiana I can carry, but not in the State House, the place where I work. Also, I tend to work late. You know, I'm a small business owner before I became state treasurer, so I'm not afraid to get in there and get work done. And downtown Indianapolis, not the safest place in the world. So oftentimes, you know, I'm a country boy, and I have this, you know, I will walk my staff to their car. And I realize, wow, this is actually kind of dangerous. When you're literally walking over people to get to your car, that's not a place I wanted my staff in, or, you know, myself either. So, you know, when I approached the General Assembly and I said, look, you have the right as members of the Senate or members of the House to be able to carry. Your staff has the right to carry, but I and my staff do not. I'm like, that just doesn't make sense. So we presented this idea. Senator Toms is the one who authored the bill. It's in the Senate right now. It's already passed through the hearing process and is now going through first and second reading. I feel confident that we're going to get this bill passed, and then we pass that on to the House, and we just move that a step closer to making sure people have the right to actually exercise their Second Amendment rights.
Right, and a lot of people might not realize, but there are many states across this country where law-abiding people can carry their firearm, whether they're an elected official or not. So we would like to see, in the future, Indiana open the State House back up to people that want to carry lawfully. It's the way it should be. There aren't issues in these other states, and we appreciate you starting that process with this bill. So the next issue I want to talk to you about is a big issue to the firearm industry, and it's the broad corporate discrimination that our industry experiences on the part of banks, freight companies, insurance companies, credit processors. It's a huge issue, and you learned about this issue very early on, even before you were treasurer. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So I was going to visit a gun store in Terre Haute. Shout out to Top Guns in Terre Haute and Steve Ellis and his team. Visiting with these folks. I was running for state treasurer. We started talking business, of course firearms, and as we were talking, Steve pointed out to me the problems he'd had where he had been debanked. He had had problem with credit card processing, and I'm like, what? This is a good, well-established business, been in Terre Haute for many, many years, and they were having these kinds of problems. Then I found out our friends here at FOSTEC also had similar issues, and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. So right there as a candidate for state treasurer, I started saying, look, this is an issue we have to fight. And literally my first week in office, I helped push forward an anti-ESG bill to help tackle that on the state level. And this session right now, we have a bill, Senate Bill 28, that we are also fighting to fight back and push back at banks that are trying to debank Second Amendment, firearm industry, gun shops, even local, a local gunsmith who's really just trying to have a small business on the side. These are all things that endanger the economy, but more importantly, they get into a fundamental right of a business, of a Second Amendment style firearms business to exist.
Well, that's right. I mean, if we don't have a functioning firearm industry, it's pretty hard for people to exercise their Second Amendment rights. So there is really a threat to the people's rights, but also as our industry, which complies with a lot of laws, as we're threatened by financial institutions, insurance companies, it also threatens military readiness, law enforcement that rely on services for our industry that provide for civilian use and law enforcement and military use. So it's a huge issue, and we in the firearm industry, National Shooting Sports Foundation, we have worked over the last 3 years on a bill called the Firearm Industry Non-Discrimination Act. So you might have heard of it. It essentially says that if you as a company boycott the gun industry, we as a state won't grant you contracts. So these companies that boycott the gun industry make a lot of money off of state contracts. You'd be amazed how much money they make off of taxpayer dollars through the state. So our point is, if you're threatening people's Second Amendment rights by boycotting the gun industry, you shouldn't be taking taxpayer dollars through state contracts. So the bill that Treasurer Elliott's working on is along those same lines, and we're working on that Firearm Industry Non-Discrimination Act, FIND Act, across the country, and we're going to keep pushing for it in the Hoosier state. It's a great state. I'm actually a Hoosier myself, so I'm thrilled to have you out here. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to come out here, visit with some of our great Hoosier companies. I will tell you, a lot of people will say, hey, wait a minute, what's the treasurer involved in things like Second Amendment? And it goes back to, we are elected officials here to represent the people of Indiana, and we've got to be fighting for businesses, for the individual rights, no matter what that office that we hold. So I'm happy to jump in this fight.
Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the show.